Come back again, Sita. Sorry, I missed your question.
No, what was the tool that you said? Is it Blue Prism or Blueprint? I heard it.
Blueprint.
Blueprint. Okay. Okay.
All right. Fantastic. So the time is 9:02 now. We'll get it started. First, I would like to welcome all of you for taking your personal time from your family or your personal time to invest in yourself and learn something about our upcoming technology, the robotic process automation (RPA), which will be a significant game changer in the coming decade. And I'm pleased to welcome our distinguished speaker for today, Ms. Sita Prakash. She's an IT industry technology professional with more than 22 years of experience across the US and India. She's a PMP, ITIL certified senior project manager, a freelance corporate trainer, a mentor, and an online college lecturer. She's very strong. She has a very strong technical process, mentorship, and coaching background with a lot of public speaking experience in women leadership conferences, both in US and India. She has served as a women in diversity speaker with IBM India. She has served as elected international senator with Society of Women, Chicago. She has publications. She's a publications and editorial board head with Art and Beat, a nonprofit organization in New Jersey, focusing on encouraging community talent. She is also an active PMI Institute New Jersey member, and I'm pleased to welcome Sita this morning. Sita, welcome.
Thank you, Hari. That was quite a lot, I guess.
Fantastic. And I would like to introduce our meeting participants on this Zoom call right now. Subish, and I would like each of you to just make a quick 1-minute introduction about yourself so that we all get to know each other more, and any question and answer, we can kind of channelize it accordingly. So with that, I'll just go around the table. Subish, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi everyone, this is Subish here. I'm with IT industry for last 15 years and I'm based out of New Jersey. And I'm new to RPA. I just started learning automation anywhere. So I'm expecting like more from this session and to see like how I can implement RPA in my current portfolio. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Subish. Next, we'll go to Mahalakshmi Ramamurthy. Would you like to introduce yourself? Mahalakshmi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Mahalakshmi Ramamurthy. I'm working in the doctor's office, but I'm very happy to hear a lot of information from this session.
Thank you so much. And you're coming from a healthcare industry and you're a frontline worker. On behalf of everyone, we salute you being part of the frontline worker and taking care of yourself and others and your family members in this challenging COVID situation. So respect all of you a lot. So thank you very much for joining, Mahalakshmi.
Thank you so much, Hari. Thank you.
Fantastic. Let's go to Rohini.
Hi, this is Rohini. I have been associated for 15 plus years in service industry. And I've been working with various roles there. And recently we are working on RPA tool. And so I'm interested to see what this session will bring out of this.
Thank you. Thank you, Rohini. Let's go to Usha. Usha, welcome.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Usha Sundarajan. I worked in Oracle database for quite a few years, and then I stopped working to take care of my family. Previous job is like office operational supervisor in a census. Right now, just I got some contract tracer job from working from home, but still I want to go back to my field like IT. So I want to know what's RPA, whether I can able to go back again and start in IT industry.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Usha. Thanks for your interest. I'm sure Sita will have some good references to figure out how to chart a career with RPA. Next, we'll move on to John, one of my another EMBA classmate and friend. John, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. I'm John Capozzolo. I'm a professional civil engineer, and I'm in the EMBA program with Hari. I was interested when we took an RPA video class one time, and I was just wondering if I could apply it somehow to my job to automate my my work process somehow. I'm not sure if I can, because I'm in civil engineering. I write a lot of reports about, you know, conditions on project sites and everything, but interested to learn. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, John. Thanks for joining. Ravi?
Hi, my name is Ravi. I'm working in IT industry with the financial domain. So I don't have, much information about this RPA. So like looking forward to know more information and try to see elaborate the career in this if possible.
Sure, fantastic. Thank you, Ravi. And last not the least, to introduce myself, I'm Hari, working in UBS for the last 16 years and have the industry experience of more than 23 plus years of experience. I am very passionate in the education area to help others to not only learn and grow my own knowledge, but in the process, be able to open the platform, leverage the technologies to share that knowledge and help others also grow along with my learning journey. And in that process, one of my family friend, Sita, she's an industry expert. So she showed interest to inculcate some of her knowledge and expertise to many of us. And that's how we have this session. So without further ado, let's give back the time to Sita for her to share her knowledge. Sita, over to you.
Thank you, Hari. Glad to be part of this journey, I guess, and interesting audience coming from different background. John, we definitely have something for you when you said that you do a lot of reportings as part of being civil engineer. RPA definitely has a lot of things to offer for you. So I'm sure this session is going to be useful. All right, so let me go ahead and share the screen. So the idea here of today's session is to take you around. Most of you do have some background of RPA or at least familiar with this term, which is what I understand. And let me know if you guys are able to see the screen.
Sure, I can. And just for a full transparency and disclosure, we are recording this meeting so that it can be helpful to other team members as well. So feel free to stop your video or start your video and feel free to ask questions. Sita, would you like to answer the questions along the way, or you want to reserve it for the end?
Yeah, I would probably keep it for the end, Hari.
Okay.
That's fine.
Fantastic. Thank you. So back to you, Sita.
All right, so I think most of you here are familiar with this term RPA, so that kind of makes my job easy and have some basic idea. So this idea of this session is, not to go too deep dive, but just to give you a brief overview about what RPA is all about. What is this keyword or the buzzword that we've been hearing a lot? How is it different from traditional automation? There are a few of you in the audience who are probably trying to restart a career back, or so is it something for me? Can I go ahead and start a career in RPA? What kind of skills do I need to get into this field? What kind of use cases? Where is the industry heading with RPA? And last but not the least, I think the most interesting part, which people are interested to see more rather than all the talk in the slides, is probably to see how exactly does an RPA work? Can I see something live? I think that's where the most interesting segment is going to be, which is quite understandable. So without further ado, let me get into the basics of RPA. So imagine a scenario where you're placing an order through an online retailer, could be Amazon, could be anything. Okay, now think about it. You have to you're placing an order, and your shipment of the order requires somebody to actually access a vendor's website and perform certain steps. Okay, something like, let's say he has to the person has to log into an order management system. He has to search for your order and the other order details. He has to then log into the shipping vendor's website. He has to copy paste all the required data and everything from your OMS to the shipping vendor's website, ship the order, copy the tracking number, and then again go back to the OMS, mark the order as shipped. Now imagine you or somebody in your team doing this hundreds and thousands of times every single day. Just imagine. This is high volume repetitive tasks. Now imagine if I have to do this every other day, hundreds and thousands of times, I'm done, right? It can be hugely error prone, time consuming, and after a point, you are going to be, just done with it. It's mundane, right? This is where your RPA steps in. This is where a digital bot comes in. Now, a lot of times when we talk about robotics or robot, we have a certain imagination that there is something, a hardware walking, what we've seen as robots, right? There is no physical hardware or physical, robots which is walking and going to do that for you. But we are talking about something called a software program, which is basically called as a bot. Okay, and this bot is going to do what all steps I just mentioned, the repetitive rules-based, mundane tasks again and again, which does not involve too much of decision making. I'm going to talk about that decision making part, which is kind of a little critical when we talk about when we want something to get automated, right? Because a lot of business processes that we will, as a part of any business organization does involve decision making. Okay, but we are talking about only those processes which are huge, volume is huge, which is repetitive, rules based, and does not involve too much of decision making. That's where your RPA comes in, robotics process automation, right? So basically we are trying to create a digital workforce. Okay, now this is where we have to understand, because these are terms that you might be today everywhere across, you see these terms. We talk about AI, we talk about Alexa. So how is this different from RPA, or what is RPA? Is RPA artificial intelligence? To talk about that, your AI world can be broken down into different segments. Okay, we are at the lower end of the spectrum. If you see here, we are at this part, and the AI which we talk about today is at the higher end part. Okay, so it is the most, I can say RPA is the least smart and the least expensive way of doing things, but it is only for process. It is all process driven. You can automate all your business process. You can probably step up a bit higher when you start applying something called as intelligent automation, which involves some amount of human judgment, but not complete human judgment. As you go ahead further into this spectrum, the third part, which is the most interesting part, which is your cognitive automation, which involves a lot of data analysis, a lot of customer engagement, and also deeply backed up by data science. Okay, and this is where your Amazon Echo and Alexa and all the other things that we use, they augment human intelligence. A lot of ML and deep learning technologies are used at this segment. And last but not the least, the advanced artificial intelligence, which is definitely trying to engage with the customers and employees at a very high level, mimicking human interaction. So that is our, the highest end of the spectrum. We are at the start of the spectrum where we are just mimicking human actions at a very, very, process-based level. Okay, so when we talk about artificial intelligence, you can also think about something like, I'll give you an example. I was reading somewhere that in Italy, there's an insurance company who have gone ahead and created a cognitive help desk. Now, what this help desk does is it engages with employees, whoever are putting requests, based on their previous resolved employee cases. Okay, so they might have some employee problems, employee requests that comes through, and it runs and it goes into a database of FAQs, previously resolved cases, and any other documentations based on which it routes and gives the capability for the employee to go ahead and process their request. It also does language-based processing, primarily on Italian, right? And there are bots which, based on how you talk, if there is unhappiness in you when you talk, you're not a happy customer, you're kind of pissed off with the way things are getting dealt by the company, the bot understands that, and it is going to route you to an agent who can actually go and talk to you. So those levels of interactions is where we are headed towards in this whole spectrum. Now, as I said, in this slide, I think this is what I was talking about, that we are at this lower end of the spectrum, which is more process driven. It's more of a doing thing, right? The thinking part is not where we are. RPA is at the start of the spectrum, which is more of doing stuff again and again, repetitive. As we go up the ladder, the complexity goes high, needless to say, because we're trying to, mimic the human brain, which is, we are kind of, it's not that easy as much as we think about it. And the cost, definitely IT has to keep in mind the cost, because increasing cost is definitely something that we have to all keep in mind. So ML and artificial intelligence are more data driven analytics backed up by data science and analytics. So what is RPA digital workforce? So what exactly happens with this digital workforce? Think about it like a fleet of robots, fleet of bots. Let me not say robots, because that would kind of give you, make you start thinking that there's somebody sitting next to you. It's a software, basically a fleet of bots, which is basically going to augment how the human employees are working together and sit along with the same ecosystem and start helping you take out the mundane part of your job and make it more enjoyable for you, rather than you focusing on more value added activities, and the mundane activities are going to be handled by the bot for you. Now this is where a digital workforce kind of thing can fit in. If you look in here, every organization basically involves three things: people, process, and technology. The technology stack can be as varied and as different from being a mainframe system, an ERP, or any other kind of system stack that we might have. The people is who are going to integrate between the process and the technology, and this is where RPA as a digital workforce comes through and works in the same ecosystem along with the human workforce to expedite the process, so that this segment of human workforce is able to focus on more value-added activities, rather than doing the non-value-added activities, which is repetitive and which can be outsourced to a bot who sits onto the same system as you and can do that for you. And believe me, the bot does not fall sick, does not ask for a vacation, and it works 24/7. So there we know what we are getting into. Let's move ahead and look into some of the benefits of RPA. So I'm going to let you guys read this slide for a minute. Now, as you can see, some of the very obvious benefits is scalability, customer experience. We're going to talk about each of these and to see that how I know there were some of you in the audience who were trying to understand how we can implement RPA in our own projects. So I think these are good pointers for you to think about how RPA implementation can might help my business. So the biggest thing about RPA is the first point I would talk about is scalability. Most of us understand here what is scalability. Now think about it like an increased workload on a day. If you are somebody who's okay, Ramya works in healthcare, right? Ramya, you was talking about you work in the doctor's office, and definitely there would be days when you would have a lot of workload in terms of number of people coming and visiting the doctor, right? There would be certain days when there would be kind of very minimal workload for you, right? But
Yes.
then I'm sure on those days when there is an increased workload, you have a long day, right? And you wish there would be a lot of there would be a lot of repetitive process that you might have to do again and again. Think about it like this. So if there was a person like Ramya or somebody who was sitting at the frontline worker, as a frontline worker, taking requests and doing patient scheduling and everything, can I scale up, or can I ask for an extra help that day, that hey, can I get another person to help? Probably not. It's not going to work. But if there is a bot, I can probably switch on another bot, and there might be two bots who can take up that increased workload that day, and I can scale up my business operations and remain the delivery is still on time without any so that is the advantage that bots have, that it can scale up and scale down. So on a day when there is less crowd, I can always switch off one of the bots, and I can just keep one bot on, and it can keep continuing doing the work. So that is the biggest advantage, that I am no more I'm able to do my work. I can scale up and down depending upon how the workload is, whether depending it's a seasonal workload or is it depending upon how that web traffic comes through and any kind of a thing, right? So the scope of work, according to the scope of work, obviously my scalability, can vary on a certain day or a certain season. Now, needless to say, if I'm scalable enough, definitely it's going to give a better customer experience. Think about a customer who walks in on a day and his work gets within, seconds, he's able to get his work done. So obviously the customer experience is definitely going to be improved a lot. The third point here is compliance. Now think about it. As humans, when we do a repetitive work again and again, there is a certain chance that we might miss some kind of steps or some kind of, there is always a percentage of deviation which can be there when humans work. But when it comes to bots, you have programmed them to work in a certain way. So there is no question of any deviation and you're always 100% compliant. So no worries about any compliance issues because you've programmed them well enough that they don't get deviated for any reason. Again, improved delivery. Needless to say, if there was a report that took me 4 hours to prepare, and today when a bot is implemented, it brings it down to 20 minutes, my delivery time shoots up like anything. And I'm, the operations become more predictable when you have an improved delivery. Most of us here who work in IT would completely understand the need for a predictable operation, which is what we all struggle for. The next point, very interesting, is easy integration. Now, this is a big, this has been a big challenge for IT companies to bring in something new because they don't really want to disturb their existing IT systems. Okay, so RPA is very non-invasive in nature or non-intrusive. What that means is your existing system doesn't have to be re-engineered. It doesn't have to be restructured. It can sit on top of your existing system. And that's why it becomes very easy to integrate. It is not disruptive. It's not going to change your existing architecture. It's just going to be sitting on top of it. Now, that is one of the very biggest advantages because if you don't have to re-engineer and restructure, you're saving a lot of cost, right? And you're just going to make your RPA bots sit on top of your existing system. That's going to make things very easy, right? All right. The next thing, obviously, with all these advantages is ROI, right? Businesses work on our ROI. If they can't see the money, they're not going to put the money there, right? So with RPA implementations, people have seen an increased markup of ROI, not in years, but in quarters. They can see that the value, getting converted very, very early in very shorter durations of time. So ROI wise, the company is going to really make a big difference. It's going to really see a lot of improved value coming back to the system. Eliminates repetition. I think we've talked about that enough because it's going to take up all the low value tasks from the employees and help them think about doing more productive tasks, more productive value added tasks. Improved process. Very important point here. Believe me, RPA bots they can't get COVID, so they are good. So they are going to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're not going to come back and ask for a vacation, or they're not going to ask you for a promotion or a salary hike. So we are good. So it continuously keeps working without any break, right? And last but not the least, the cost reduction. Definitely cost reduction is when you think about all these different aspects of benefits that RPA is offering, needless to say, cost reduction is definitely going to be a big, big time saver and the money that it is going to save in terms of efforts and the tangible and intangible benefits both. So here is something that I want you guys to have a look at. Nothing too much to explain, just a quick snapshot of what kind of cost savings can happen just by looking at a couple of processes and how much money you can already save up. I'm sure these numbers are really encouraging to look at. All right, let's move ahead. All right, all is well here because we talked about all the nice things about RPA. So, but how does this RPA work? What exactly, what is there a magic, or what does exactly happen when we say that we are creating a bot? Okay, now when we create bot, it's not it is going to mimic your action, right? It's something like, you know, like a recorder. Okay, you have record options and capture options in RPA, which is basically going to look at how you perform an operation, and it is going to redo the same operation without applying any brain. I again repeat, without applying any brain, because you are going to train that bot. Okay, you're going to train that bot to do certain operations mindlessly again and again. The advantage is that it is going to do that in record time. Okay, now when you have to go and do, it's like clicking a button. It's like dragging and dropping those objects which are there in these RPA tools without very, I would say without too much of extensive coding. I can't say there is no coding. There is going to be a little coding, but it is definitely not hugely, complex kind of a coding that is needed, because most of the RPA tools that we have in the market today, believe me, are very user friendly. They have encapsulated most of the logics within their objects, and all we will have to do is just drag and drop, and within minutes your first bot is ready. So I would say the learning curve for somebody who's coming from probably not, probably from a non-IT background, or somebody who has not coded for many years, is definitely, going to be a very easy learning curve, because, you don't really need to know too much of extensive programming, but a little logics and flowchart knowledge is definitely important. Your logic building skill is definitely critical for surviving in RPA. I can't say that, without logics or without zero, programming, you can survive. No, you still need some basics of programming, some flowcharting logics and stuff like that, which is easy to pick up, right? And the bot essentially is going to mimic every single keystroke, every single mouse movement that you're doing, whether it's accessing your application, copying files, a lot of regular clerical activities that, a lot of administrative tasks that people do involves copy and paste, right? Whether opening up a folder, sending emails is also one regular activity that a lot of administrative tasks does. Extraction of data from certain kind of files. It could be a PDF extraction, it could be an Excel extraction, and all those clerical kind of works, which are repetitive in nature. And believe me, these are all great use cases for RPA tools to, help.
So, Sita, if I may interrupt here, right now, since we are at half of the hour, would you be showing us like how to approach a sample Hello World RPA kind of stuff?
Yes,
Are there any
I have that
screenshots?
on my agenda, Hari.
Okay, all right, thank
Definitely have because people are definitely interested in seeing the bot in action rather than me talking.
The theoretical one, yeah,
yes.
sure, definitely.
So that is definitely part of the agenda. All right.
Sure. I just want to remind on the time.
1 minute.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to take a quick 1 minute break and ask if there is any question, anything that is, you want to just ask out right away without, feel free to go ahead. If you have anything that is kind of coming in your mind and that you want to ask right away. If not, then we'll continue. All right. I'm assuming there is none. All right, so let's take a quick look about how is RPA different from traditional automation. So automation has been there in the IT industry forever. It's not something new. Those of us who come from background of macros, who have worked on macros, would agree that macro did some automation back in the days, and we had technologies like VBA and a lot of other kind of scripting technologies which helped us achieve automation to a lot of extent. So how is this different from your traditional automation? So the very first thing that you would see is that the traditional automation involved a lot of API level activities in terms of, you will have to open up the code, write, go down at that level to, change the things and make the automation work. But in RPA, everything works at a UI level. As I said, it is very non-intrusive in nature. It's going to sit on top of your existing architecture, right? It works primarily on record and play capture techniques, which you're going to see in a bit, that how these operations are going to work, unlike your traditional, which is more of coding and everything else that is needed. The requirement of RPA, now this is in terms of, if I have to start a career in RPA, what are the skills that, or what does an RPA, job look like? They don't need pure software developers. They need people who can be good techno-functional mix, somebody who understands functional process, somebody who is also a little technical. So it's a mix of both. It's not pure and pure technical, because we don't need somebody who can sit and code for hours, because that job is already done by the RPA tool for you. So we need somebody who can understand the process and go about seeing how to automate it, right? And definitely complexity is very less as compared to RPA. Traditional automation is hugely complex. It needs to integrate with a lot of upstream and downstream systems. So definitely it's going to be more complex. So for those of you who are still trying to kind of, visualize how this whole thing works, here is a quick slide which talks about how, a standard manual process wherein we are trying to give a user an access to a particular application across all these 3 different processes. It's a standard manual process. You can go over this. There's a scripted manual process which involves coding, which involves integration with APIs. It's like a cron job that kind of runs wherein everything is getting validated, which involves coding and opening up your existing architecture. And here is your RPA. Now, if you compare this and this, you will see it's very similar, except in place of human, there is this bot who is doing all these things for you. So you're making sit a bot on top of what you were doing, and instead of you, a bot is going to do that job for you. As simple as that, without changing anything in between. I know there might be questions on your mind. So if I want to sit on my place, so where is my job, right? That might be the thought that might come. We'll talk about that. All right. So the next thing, what are the tools which are there available in the market? There are a lot of tools which are available, but I would say the top 3 that what I have been following over the last 5 to 6 years have remained at least these 3 tools: Automation Anywhere, UiPath, and Hadoop Prism. Pega is also very, very famous and popular these days, but these 3 are the top contenders who are still in the market, and pretty much they are the top 3 players in the RPA world today, as of today. All right, and these are, again, and if you go in today, do a quick search on RPA jobs, you would anywhere end up in these 3 and Pega, most likely, because these are the 3 top tools. And believe me, these 3 top tools, the learning curve is also pretty easy. It's not difficult at all. We'll talk about that. All right, moving on. All right, so what are the other use cases where RPA we can implement? As I was talking about, mundane processes, repetitive processes. So all these different business processes and activities that you see, whether it's an Excel data manipulation, whether it's an entry or exit onboarding process of an HR, which is pretty much standardized. It doesn't change, right? Those are all the activities, or a report generation. We are going to see an example of a report generation where I'm going to automate a report generation process for you and show you how that report can be done automatically by a bot rather than you doing that on your own. We'll see that. PDF image extraction, a very common activity done by a lot of HR people, wherein they have to extract a lot of information from PDF, whether it could be an employee form or it could be an invoice where they have to extract the details and send it out to different departments, right? So all these are the common use cases that you can automate in RPA. Now, a little more deep dive into specific domains, use cases across specific domains like healthcare. If you see in healthcare, what are all the things that I can automate through RPA? As I said, appointment scheduling, account settlements, claims management. These are all repetitive processes. There are certain rules to it. There are certain, steps to it. And needless to say, these does not involve too much of decision making. Now, while there might be cases where we might have a certain kind of a workflow might at one step want a human to go ahead and decide whether I should go ahead and process this or not. Now, believe me, RPA does have an option wherein you can create bots, wherein you can step in at a particular step, do a certain process because it needs human intervention, and then further push it around so that the RPA bot can take it further. So it does allow you to integrate, and it peacefully works with human. So we can create bots wherein both human and bots can work together. So there will be 5 steps which the bot is going to do. The 6th step is a decision-making process, where it hands it back to you to take the decision. Once you say go ahead, it further takes the job from you and goes ahead and finishes it for you. So peacefully, both humans and bots can coexist and work. Some of the other use cases that we have in the financial sector: credit checks, KYCs, know your customers, credit card processing. All these are repetitive kind of checks that can be easily automated with RPA. Some more from HR. HR is a great candidate for automation because a lot of things very easily can be done on RPA, especially the regular work in terms of onboarding employees. There are certain steps which can be done again and again. You can source and screen your candidates also, which is also something which can be done very effectively. Self-service portals are also something that automatically can be automated with RPA. A lot of different segments can be used across HR also. All right, so we saw some of the things that we can automate. Now the big thing is can everything be automated? No, not everything is suited for RPA. Not every single process that you do in your organization can be automated. As I said, unless and until there is a process assessment that happens before an RPA project is kickstarted, where a complete study is done to make sure that a process is suitable for RPA or not. Now, as I said, it has to be definitely structured, repeated, and something which can, which is time consuming. If it involves too much of decision making, then it's not a great candidate for RPA, right? Also, I want you guys to look into the last line, which says processes that require swivel chair access. Now, anybody understands what is swivel chair access? Real quick. Swivel chair access.
No.
Okay, so swivel chair access is basically when it's a phrase. Swivel chair. You just turn around on your chair and just push a button and things start working. That's exactly what a swivel chair process is, right? So if it is as simple as a swivel chair access where you have to just turn around and start a button and things that work, that is a great candidate for RPA because it doesn't need you to think more. Easy as switching on a button. Those are my great candidates for RPA, right? Now, what are not so good candidates for RPA? Now, disqualifies or something which is not good. Now, think about it. If your process is something which is going to keep changing every other day, right? It is not mature and stable. It is something that keeps changing every other day. Then it is not a great candidate for RPA, because if it is not stable, you cannot automate it because bots will not understand. You cannot program it, right? If the process is going to be, something which is well documented, well with enough business rules, then it's a great candidate. But something which is not, then I would not say that it's a great candidate for an RPA. The process is not a great candidate. What is the average handling time? If there is a handling time for a process, say 10 minutes or 15 minutes, am I going to be able to, when I automate that particular process, is it going to bring down some reduction in terms of time? So if it is, let's say it takes 10 minutes and pre-automation and after automation, if it kind of comes to 1 minute, then it is worth investing. Now, a lot of times you might not even, to increase the efficiency of a process, you don't have to automate all the time. That's not always the thing. You can probably redesign your steps. You can probably re-engineer your steps, the way you perform that particular process. That's all is needed. Not necessarily you have to go for RPA, right? So again, any RPA implementation needs to undergo a process assessment. And believe me, that's one game changer because a lot of metrics are generated during that time, which helps companies to determine whether an RPA is a viable solution or not. All right. All right, almost towards the end. So quick slide about myths. I know a lot of you might be thinking, she's been saying that RPA is going to be sitting together with me. So what happens to my job? Now, is RPA going to replace the human, or is it going to steal my job? I'll be honest, RPA is not here to steal your job, but RPA is going to help you with your job, okay? But there is some amount of job loss, which is inevitable, okay? I don't want to sugarcoat and say, no, it won't, it will. Because when we do automation, it has happened historically that whenever we do automation, there is always going to be some amount of job loss that might happen. But then as companies are approaching it, RPA for a solution, they are not looking at job loss more, but they are looking at how to improve their business process and make sure how their employees can be effectively put into much value-added activities, right? So that is where RPA, the goal of RPA is not to cut down jobs. The goal of RPA is different. As I said, it is going to bring better customer experience, better employee engagement. That is where the goal is. Can RPA automate all your processes? No, we just spoke about that. It's not good for every process. Not everything can be automated. We have to do a process assessment before we actually take that step. RPA is only about cost reduction. No, we spoke about it. There's going to be a lot of other benefits with which RPA comes. It's not only about cost reduction, but increased accuracy, reducing response time, and higher predictability. I think the last point, predictable operations, is what any IT manager today wants, to see. All right, I think we are well on time. All right, next steps. So what can I do to start, exploring more? I have just put this from Automation Anywhere perspective. There are, self-learning tools. You can go into Automation Anywhere. They have a great, website wherein they have wonderful videos and, demos that you can have a look at it. They also offer you a community edition, which I'll show you, which is basically free. You can, register yourself and download. And once you are kind of, an expert there, understand everything, you can also, get yourself certified. All right. So at this stage, I'm stopping here and going to jump into the demo, which I'm sure all of you are eagerly waiting for. Okay, so just give me a minute. I'm going to switch on to the demo.
Good morning, Sita ji. Subbu here, Ramya's husband. Hi, thank you. This is very useful session and very informative with a lot of good examples. As you said, like it could be a career option that somebody could pursue. Just wanted to understand if you need some kind of a software knowledge, like basic software knowledge, coding knowledge, for us to pursue some kind of a certification and career in RPA. If you can just touch upon that, what you think from your experience. I think that's going to be a very useful tip and one where some of these, based on your current role and job, they could pursue some kind of a career option. Thank you.
Sure. Subbu, to answer your question, if the person is already working in a technical field, somebody who's already knows the programming and everything, then it's going to be a piece of cake for them, because it takes away all the heavy lifting work from you, right? Because the RPA world is giving you all the objects. It's all drag and drop, record and capture. That's how it is. And for people who are just starting out with probably not an IT background, as I said, there are, a basic primer kind of a thing where, you can do the basic flow charting in terms of, having to know how to write an if then else statement, what is error handling, the logic building part of any, programming. You don't need to be a programming expert, but you can need to have a basic, flow charting examples and stuff like that. That is good enough for a start. Okay, so that is for somebody who wants to go into an RPA developer kind of a role. You have other roles. If you are not somebody who still wants to get into even that level of programming, you can probably go down as a process analyst. You are a person who is a great communicator, somebody like a business analyst in a non-RPA world, right? So it's equivalent to a process analyst in an RPA world. So who can understand, who is more of a functional, who meets to the client, understands the existing process, builds process maps, and his role is more in the process assessment part. It's equivalent to a BA in a non-RPA project, right? And as of today, you don't have anybody called as an RPA tester. To be honest, there is nothing like an RPA tester kind of a role. It's more because the testing and the development today goes hand in hand in an RPA project. So there is nothing like, people, you might not see too much of an RPA tester kind of a role, but yes, RPA process analyst and RPA developers are great options to begin with, depending upon what kind of a background you come from. I hope
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Excellent information. Thank you.
All right. So I hope all of you can see the screen, the browser. So this is the site. Yeah, everybody can see the screen.
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay. So this is the registration page that I was talking about. I have put that on the link in the PowerPoint presentation. Also, you can just go in here and register yourself with your email, and they will send you out the community edition link. Now, this is a cloud-based edition, A 2019, Automation Anywhere 2019 is all cloud-based. They had previous versions, which was, wherein we had to install everything, Automation 11, but this is 2019. All of you can see my screen. This is the community edition that you see here. And once you have a link with your registered email ID and everything, you get into something called as a control room, which is where all the action happens. So I'm just going to log into this and show you how this whole thing works. So control room, as the name suggests, this is So this is the home page where you see all these different options out here. You have a dashboard, you have the bots that you can create. Okay, I'm just going to directly go into the bots part of it. I know a lot of you are waiting to see a bot in action. So here is where you can go ahead and create a bot. Okay, as there are different options here. Let me show you one bot. In the interest of time, I'm going to show you a bot, how this runs. All right, so here, as you can see onto the left-hand side, there are something called as variables, there are actions, and there are triggers. These are three things that you see here. Variables, to answer somebody, variables, you should understand what is a variable, right? So at that level, you should have that programming knowledge of what is a variable. So as I said, before you start learning RPA tool, any RPA tool, do some basic, primer like a flow chart, logic building exercise, if then else, error handling, and those things, because that is going to be your base to understand these terms. You have something called actions. Now, believe me, these are what the pre-built packages, which you have everything here. I'm going to show you one quick real one. And then you have triggers, which are going to set under what step you want an RPA to perform an action for you. Okay, so let me run a quick sample here. Now, what I'm trying to do, let me open up a sheet. Okay, so what we're trying to do here is, I hope all of you can see my Excel sheet. Okay, now in this Excel sheet, you see there is some data which is given here, okay, which talks about people, their gender, their age, their height, the weight, and a BMI. Most of us know what is BMI, okay, the basic metabolic index, which talks about, a certain value above BMI is good. You are either overweight, you're underweight, or you're normal, or you're obese. So you can calculate your BMI. Okay, so we have all this data for about, say, 25 odd people. Now, what I want to automate is I have my rule wherein I know that if somebody is 27.6, then is he going to be an overweight, underweight, or a normal? Okay, So if I had to do this manually, I probably have my chart in front of me and I'm going to look into it and say, okay, 27.6, okay, that means he's underweight. So I have to start typing here manually. Now think about it, these are 25 records. What if I had 500 records here? I'm not going to do that manually. That's kind of time consuming, right? So if I had a bot which can automate this for me so that it can automatically, depending upon the value that is here, it is going to evaluate and put me into the right bracket, whether I'm overweight, underweight, obese, or whatever, right? Does that make sense? Is that clear what we are trying to automate here via the bot? Let me also show you what the rules are, just to give you an idea. Okay. So this is what is the rule. Okay, if you're below 18.5, then you're underweight, and if you're between this range, then you're normal, and then this. Okay, so just to give you that idea. Okay, let's go back and see how the bot is now going to classify based on the value that we saw in the Excel. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the bot. All right. So here you see there is this, let me run this bot first for you. Okay. So the bot is running now. The bot has run successfully. Okay. Let's go back to the Excel and see if it did populate the value there. Oh yeah. Can you all see the Excel sheet?
Yeah, I can see.
Yes, Sita.
Do you see this? This was empty, right? I didn't do this. This the bot did.
Awesome.
Yeah. And how long did it take? Probably 5 to 8 seconds is what this did. Just for 25 records, it automatically calculated based on the rules that we had fed into the bot, that if somebody is 27.6, then they are overweight. If somebody is 30, then it's obese. And it can also recommend you exercise depending upon, whatever is the value here. You can also say whether an exercise is recommended or not, right? This is done by bot. So imagine if it was just 25, you had 500 or 1,000, how much time you have already saved without you sitting and manually entering all this. Sounds exciting?
Yeah, very much.
Right? All right. So let me quickly go back. And how much coding have we written for all this here? If you see, everything has been drag and drop here. So if you see here, I have put something called as an email Excel file, which is where I have configured my Excel input file, wherein I told the bot that, hey, here is my file, go ahead and read this file. Then I have started putting a loop, which is again an action, which is available here. All that I just did was drag and drop this here. I told the loop, I'm not writing any looping code here. Those of you who come from a technical background would know how we would write a loop, right? A for loop, a while loop, and all that. I'm not writing anything here. I'm just clicking everything here. I want the iterator to run for each row in the worksheet, loop through all the rows, okay? And once it loops through all the Excel sheet, I want that it should hold all these values into a record variable, okay? So what I do here is, again, I click on this, and I can create a variable of type record. Now, what is type record variable? It is going to hold everything on the Excel sheet. So if you see here, when I say a type record variable, it is going to hold each of these records that it iterates into the Excel and holds it for you. Because you know what, we have to look into this each value, and based on what that value is, I'm going to define a classification for it. So I definitely need to have access to each of these records, which is what my record variable is going to hold. Okay. Now going back again. So once you do that, then you are going to iterate into each of the rows. Okay. Now row 5 is basically where my BMI value is. So I'm going to iterate into the row 5. get that value, and then I'm converting it into a string. Okay. And then I put my if condition here and check. Now this is in a programming world, you would write an if then else loop, but here all I'm doing is I'm dragging an if condition. My if condition is for a number. I have to give my value variable name here, pick my operator, give the value. This is all your business process, whatever you have, right? You put that up. Now on this if condition, you want something to happen, right? What do you want? Sorry. What do you want to happen? This particular inside the if loop, if you see here, you want to set a value, right? See here, it is underway. So let me show you into the list view. Okay, this will be from a coding view. So inside, if the value is less than this, set the value to underway. Again, Excel basic is again an action that I have just dragged it and set the value here. Likewise, and I have also set another column wherein I want to say whether exercise is recommended or not. So likewise, you can go ahead and put an else if condition for all the other different values. Increment your loop, and that's it. Your bot is ready to automate. How easy is that?
Very
all
easy.
you need to know is all these actions and packages, just drag and drop, set all these values. How much coding did you actually do here? Nothing. You're just clicking and drag. It's all based on logics, if you realize that. Let me show you one more demo. Okay. It's another interesting one. Okay. Now, this is a report that we have pulled in from the internet. Okay. Now, what the idea here is, okay. So the idea is I want to generate a COVID-19 report and send it out in an email. Okay. So here is my data. So all I did was I went to Google and here is my COVID-19 cases worldwide report, which you can see here, right? I want this whole table that you see here to be pasted in a CSV file and send it to my manager on a daily basis on an email. Now, I don't want to do this on a daily basis myself, come here, put it on an Excel, send it to an email. I want a bot which can automatically go to this website, take a dump of this data, put it into a CSV or an Excel and send the email for me. All right, let's see. All right, so here I have and this is all that I wrote for this whole bot. Okay, let me run this bot first. See, it automatically opened up the file for me. Okay, so the bot has run. Okay, now, so what did the bot do? It took everything from that particular website and it has sent an email to me. Let me show you the email. Okay. Okay. All of you are able to see the mailbox?
Yep.
There you go. Okay. Look at the time, 10 a.m. This is what it sent it to me. Can you guys see the, this happened through the bot. It sent automatically this to me. So now you can imagine what kind of other automations are possible. And all that we wrote here was only this much line of, implement. And these are all no codings. I just dragged up a browser action, set my URL, which site I wanted it to go and pick up that. I have a recorder here, which is going to record, and I had to tell that go and capture the table from there. Okay. And then what action I want from the table, I want to get that entire table from that web page. And I'm going to dump that value into a variable, which is where the whole data of the table comes in. The next step is pretty simple. I just have to call a data table and write to file. I tell, okay, go ahead and take this data from this table variable, dump it into a CSV file, override the existing file. You're good to go. That's all. And then the last thing is email. I want to send it as an email to a particular address. So I put my the email configuration and everything, give the name of the file, put your message, configuration, it's a Gmail, that's all you do. And finally, I want to close that browser window also. I don't want that to keep hanging on there. I just close that window also. So all this has happened with the bot. Sounds interesting?
It's not only interesting, it's so easy that if you're an entrepreneur or if you're a small person trying to start your business, you don't have to invest or pay someone to do some of the basic thought process work.
Absolutely.
Right? You can install a couple of bots and keep it going. And if the idea clicks, if someone gets interested in idea and wants to invest on it, you can grow. So it's almost like it also helps in less investment business starting process.
Yes. And there is so much of automation that you can think of, so much of regular work also, you know, when people do that, I feel had there been a bot, we could have done it within minutes, right? It's very interesting and easy. And all that you need is a good logic. That's all you need, because everything is drag and drop. You're not writing codes out there. Okay, so this was just the, you know, we just scratched the surface here. There's so much that you can do. You have something called as IQ bots. Okay, now those are much advanced. You know, you can train them literally, and it can do, you know, invoice processing. It can extract data from PDFs, everything within seconds. So RPA is a very interesting and, you know, at least I'm a great fan of RPA, to be honest, because with all that it offers, you can just pick the skills like, you know, really quick if somebody is interested.
Wow, that's awesome. In fact, I'm curious to do a POC or a workshop kind of stuff. I want to follow your process, go to Automation Anywhere, install it, and then try out like a quick workshop. Try it's a quick workshop. So I would like to ask our people in the audience if they have any specific questions in their mind that it can help their current work or future work. Hey, does anyone have any questions?
Hi, yeah, this is Raj here. Thank you, Hari, for arranging this, and thank you, Sita. This was a really great session. We use Appian, actually, Appian product. I don't know if you are aware of that at work. So that also offers some kind of automation like this. So one of the thing about automation software, any of these RPAs, is OCR a possibility? Like, you know, we get a lot of forms which are handwritten by the customers. They are not typed in. So can you just touch a little bit upon OCR capabilities?
Yes, OCR is always a challenge. There is no 100% guarantee. I don't think so. I don't know how much of Abby is giving you that flexibility. But one of the challenges with any RPA tool is that no RPA tool can give you a 100% guarantee for OCR. They are evolving, but there are still some challenges because anything which is OCR is, you know, not there is a, you know, a way. The way I would write something and the way you would write something is very different, right?
Right.
So the software to understand an F or something which I have written and you've written is very different. So human writing, or wherever there is a human intervention of reading the forms from, you know, actual handwritten stuff, is always a challenge, because every document that comes in is different. But then OCR is definitely, you know, has evolved. What I know for the last 2 to 3 years has that OCR capabilities in all these tools, especially Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, and UiPath, has evolved very tremendously a lot. And there are a lot of third-party tools like Appian things which have which are integrating very well with these tools and are giving almost 90 to 95% of accuracy, I would say, if not 100. But then again, there is some challenge. It is not nobody can blindly claim that 100% we are there. There are challenges here and there.
Thank you, Sita. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we are looking at 80% success rate there. I mean, not even 90%.
No,
so we
they
haven't
claim to be at least 90 to 95, but in real time, it can anywhere hit around 70 to 80. That's what. So there is no 100% thing yet there.
Thank you, Sita.
Did it answer your question, Raj, or you have any specific questions?
No, this is good. Yep, this is what I mean. Of course, there is more I'm gonna research into this, but yeah, this is good. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Feel free to reach out to Sita directly as well if she can be of more help. Does anyone have any additional questions? Okay, so first of all, we intended this to be introductory session, and with the basics and what can be done with RPA, what cannot be done with RPA, and what are the process that can be automated using RPA. So this was excellent session. You even took someone fresher or a novice like me, Sita, to get familiar with RPA. So that's awesome. You made me to get interested in RPA to think what else can be potentially done. So I think that was a great session, and I hope all the audience in this call also equally enjoyed. If they have to reach you, if they have to connect with you, do you have any LinkedIn or do you have any email ID that you can share in Zoom chat?
I'll send my email ID on the chat.
Yeah, that'll be really helpful. And this is a recorded session, so I will send the recorded link to this meeting participants, and they can also use it. And is there anything else you want to share as a last minute thought, Sita?
A quick question from John. Automation Anywhere is free for everybody, John. You can go and register on that link, which is there on the website, and they will send you out the community edition. Okay, enterprise edition is there. That's for 30 days. But community edition is good to begin with.
And how long is that license valid, community edition?
That is there forever.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
So let me put my email ID as well to everybody in case people want to reach out. Thank you, Hari. I think I enjoyed the session as much, and I'm glad that I could make some difference and help people start thinking about how RPA can be a potential career for them. So
definitely.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Sita. And I'm sure that many of our executive MBA classmates will also be interested. So I'll check out their interest, and if they want something during the Rutgers Executive MBA Luncheon sessions, I may reach out to you again. So that'll be a great value add as well.
Sure.
And do you have a LinkedIn profile, Sita, that you were able to share?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend. I hope you all learned a bit, enjoyed a bit, and feel free to connect with Sita. So thank you once again, Sita, for a wonderful session today.
Right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Sita. Thank you, Hari.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sita. Thank you, Hari.
Thank you.
Really useful.